my goodness. It is such a great pleasure and honor for me to be here at the Rainbow Push Women's Luncheon. And I thank Jackie Jackson for permitting her husband, Reverend Jackson, to be part of this event. But I know very well that this is a family commitment. And to the Reverend and Jackie and the entire Jackson family, I think we all owe you a round of applause for your dedication, your commitment, your love and concern for people everywhere, and especially those who need to be lifted up. It is truly fair to say that if service is love, then you must all be overflowing today, because not only the Jackson family, but these extraordinary women who are the honorees today demonstrate that heart of service. I want to recognize 3 of your representatives in Congress who are there every single day fighting hard, and I, for one, appreciated their sit-in to end gun violence in America. Representative Robin Kelly, Representative Jan Schakowsky, and all the way from California, Representative Maxine Waters. I'm so pleased they can be here, joining with all of us, congratulating and recognizing this year's honorees, a remarkable group of women. They make me think of another quote from another remarkable woman, Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." So it is vital that we keep that in mind, because we have work to do. We have to keep organizing, keep advocating, keep educating people about the facts and the stakes. Your strength and heart and grit are so important to your communities and to all of us. We need world-changing women more than ever, because if you noticed, women can get stuff done. You know that great old saying, you want something done, ask a busy woman to do it. And there are a lot of great men who are out there doing amazing work, including those who are here today, Reverend. But we really do need to start listening to each other, don't we? There's been too much finger-pointing and scapegoating. We need to start recognizing our common humanity, what we share together on this earth. And that requires us to listen, especially in the loud, aggressive world of politics. Sometimes we express ourselves through actions, and that is indeed what we saw on the House floor when, led by John Lewis, Democratic representatives of Congress sat down, refusing to be moved when the cameras went off and the lights went out, because they have been listening. They've heard the anguished cries of families who have lost loved ones to gun violence. Now, it takes humility and it takes a lot of patience to get things done in the halls of power, but I am convinced the tide is turning. I can feel it. I know that people are starting to say, wait a minute, Why can't we get common sense gun safety reform done? Wait a minute. Why can't we make sure every child in this country has a good teacher in a good school, regardless of where that child lives, what the zip code of that child's house might be? Why can't we get the costs of health care down, including prescription drugs? Why can't we pay more attention to mental health and addiction issues that are tearing lives and families apart? That's what I hear when I travel across the country, people saying, why can't we do these things? Sometimes they're holding onto my hand really tight. Sometimes they have tears in their eyes. I've heard their anxiety, their frustration, and heartbreak, and I recognize it because we have neglected too many of our people, and particularly our children, for too long. And we've lost the ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, to show empathy as well as compassion. That is the route to solving problems. That's what Rainbow Push has done all of these years. And I, for one, am grateful to you. Reverend Jackson and I went down to the memorial to the lost lives of young people taken by gun violence. I bet some of you have visited it. It started out as a way to honor those lost lives, getting bricks and writing the names of children and teenagers and young people taken too soon. I've had the great honor of getting to know and work with a number of the mothers who have lost children to gun violence. I believe that Annette Nance Holt is here. Yes. And you may know her story of her handsome, wonderful son, Blair, killed in 2007 on a Chicago city bus. An innocent bystander of a gang fight. America is still mourning 49 people murdered in an Orlando, Florida nightclub. We just passed the first anniversary of the murders in Charleston at Mother Emanuel Church. I'm constantly reminded of the loss of the little children and their teachers at Sandy Hook Elementary School. But our country also must mourn and remember the 64 people shot across this city, right here in Chicago on Memorial Day weekend. And the 33,000 killed by gun violence every year in America. Things are so broken that just to try to get a vote, to keep terrorists from buying guns, and to apply background checks to gun shows and online sales. The Democrats in the Senate had to launch a filibuster, and the Democrats in the House had to sit in. Now, we remember the most famous sit-ins in our nation. Sit-ins that many of you, and certainly the Jacksons, participated in. sit-ins demanding civil rights legislation, demanding respect and dignity. Well, I don't know about you, but I think saving our children and other people from gun violence is a civil rights issue right now in America. And the continuing opposition by the gun lobby to even letting votes be held, because they know what I know. A vast majority of Americans support common sense gun safety measures, and that includes a big majority of gun owners. So they don't want those votes to be held. They want to avoid them or muddy them up, but we cannot give up. We have to go back time and time and time again, over and over. And what is true for our efforts to stem gun violence and save lives is true about what we need to do to lift up people economically. A lot of folks haven't had a raise in 15 years. People lost their homes. Too many feel left out and left behind, that the economy doesn't work for them. That is not only heartbreak for individuals, that is a threat to our democracy. The basic bargain in America is you work hard, you get ahead, and you stay ahead. So we are going to create more good jobs with rising incomes. We are going to go right into neighborhoods and areas that have been left out of the prosperity that many have experienced. We're going to build on the progress made by President Obama. He does not get the credit he deserves for saving our economy from the big ditch that the Republicans dropped us into. You know, how would you feel? You're a young, dynamic, really smart, new president, happens to be from Chicago, and you get elected, and you find out it's even worse than they told you. We were losing 800,000 jobs a month. 5 million homes were lost. 9 million people altogether lost their jobs, and $13 trillion in family wealth was wiped out. I remember seeing the president shortly after the '08 election, and he just was shaking his head. Like, welcome to the White House, President Obama. You've just inherited the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Have a good day. Well, I'll tell you what, he protected us from another Great Depression. And we've had 75 straight months of job growth. Now, he knows, and I know, we've talked about it, that not everybody has gotten back on their feet. And communities left behind are crying out for investment after being neglected. This is something Reverend Jackson is passionate about, and we all should be. Multi-generational poverty has no place in the United States of America in the 21st century. So we need to listen to each other. And we need to listen to the families crying out for criminal justice reform to make their communities safer and give people who've made mistakes a real chance at a job and a future when they get back home. And we have a lot of people crying out for immigration reform, so workers and their families can come out of the shadows and don't have to fear being ripped apart. You can hear it if you listen, crying for better schools, decent, affordable housing, clean air, and water for every child, whether they live in Flint, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, or anywhere in our country. And people are crying out for equal rights and dignity. They're telling us about the unseen barriers they face every day. Systemic racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, barriers that some of us can be too quick to dismiss as things of the past. They're still with us. We've got to face that and change them. As Loretta Lynch, our great Attorney General, put it so movingly, we all need a place of safety where we can be who we are without fear. I want us to make America that place for everyone. And you know what else we have to pay attention to? The Supreme Court of the United States. This morning, the court agreed that Texas regulations of women's health clinics were unconstitutional. But that's just one issue. The court's role in our country and lives is big. And the next president could appoint 1, 2, maybe 3 justices. And boy, we cannot let that president be Donald Trump, can we? So if we listen, we can hear Americans telling us about their struggles. And the people I talk to, they don't want charity. They don't want something for nothing. They want to be given a chance, a fighting chance. And that's what we have to give them. In a few weeks in Philadelphia, I will have the high honor of accepting the Democratic Party's nomination for President of the United States. Thank you. Thank you so much. And how exciting that moment will be, but here's what I want you to know from me. I've laid out an agenda for change that we can work on together. You can go to my website, hillaryclinton.com, and you can read all about it. In fact, I hope you will, because we've got to do this together. I have this old-fashioned idea that when you run for president, you really should tell people what you want to do once you get there. And then I want you to hold me accountable. I do sweat the specifics because you know what? They matter. Whether one more kid gets health care or one more person finds a job or one more woman entrepreneur gets access to capital to follow her dream, well, those may just be details in Washington, but I know how much it means to the individuals and families involved. So it matters to me, and I know it matters to you. And we do have our work cut out in this campaign. We're up against a man with dangerous, incoherent ideas for our future. He plays coy with white supremacists. He mocks people with disabilities. He said he wants to ban an entire religion from coming to America. He wants to get rid of gun-free zones around schools, let more countries have nuclear weapons, default on our national debt, turn back the clock on marriage equality. He doesn't think we need to raise the minimum wage. I could go on and on. This is someone whose reaction to the Orlando attack was to publicly congratulate himself. And on Friday, When Britain voted to leave the European Union, he crowed about how the disruption could end up creating higher profits for his golf course. Even though in 24 hours, we Americans lost $100 billion in value from our 401ks. Every day, Donald Trump proves he's not in this for the American people, he's in it for himself. And he is temperamentally unfit to be president. That's why, even if I weren't running for president, I'd be joining with all of you to do everything we could to make sure he never becomes our commander-in-chief. Our country is so much better than this. So here is what I ask of you. Hold me accountable. Hold us accountable. What we say matters, but what we do matters more. And I have tried really hard not to make impossible promises during this campaign. It hasn't always been the easy choice, but I think it's the right one, because failed promises will lead even more people to lose faith in our ability to solve problems together. As your president, I will do my best to be straight with you about the challenges we face. If I make mistakes, I'll tell you, and how we're going to fix them. I'll make sure you know what we all need to do, you, me, everyone, to get where we are headed. In other words, I will do everything I can to rebuild your trust in our government. And let me just say a few words about that. Trust is the glue that holds our democracy together. But it's no secret that Americans' trust in government has eroded. So has our trust in the media, business, religion, even professional sports. Something that used to connect us, that made it possible for us to believe in a shared present and a common future, has worn away. It is crucial for our country to get this back. I take this seriously as a citizen and as someone asking for your vote. And I personally know I have work to do on this front. A lot of people tell pollsters they don't trust me. Now, I don't like hearing that. And I've thought a lot about what's behind it. And you know, you hear 25 years worth of wild accusations, anyone would start to wonder. And it certainly is true. I've made mistakes. I don't know anyone who hasn't. So I understand people having questions. Now, maybe we can persuade people to change their minds by marshaling facts and making arguments to rebut negative attacks. But that doesn't work for everyone. You can't just talk someone into trusting you. You've got to earn it. So yes, I could say that the reason I sometimes sound careful with my words is not that I'm hiding something, it's just that I'm careful with my words. I believe what you say actually matters. I think that's true in life, and it's especially true if you're president. So I do think before I speak. And I could say that political opponents and conspiracy theorists have accused me of every crime in the book over the years. None of it's true, never has been. But accusations like that never really disappear once they're out there. And a lot of what people read about me in certain corners of the internet, and a lot of what Donald Trump says about me, is just that same nonsense. But I know trust has to be earned. When I was running for the Senate in New York, a lot of voters had doubts about me. They weren't sure why I was running or whether I'd be there for them when the campaign was over. So I worked hard in the election, and then I worked even harder once I was elected. And I delivered for people. And they learned they could count on me to fight for them. And in the end, I earned their trust. And then, as you remember, I ran a hard campaign against Barack Obama. And after he was elected our president, he trusted me to be his Secretary of State. So here's what I say to voters who may have doubts. No one will fight harder for you and your families than I will. You can count on that. I've been called a lot of things, but quitter is not one of them. So I will get up every single day and go to work for you, take responsibility for what we try to get done, and ask that you judge my actions. And ask that together we do what is necessary to not just renew the American dream, but make it available for everyone. It is big enough for everyone. And if you want to know where I stand and why I'm doing what I do, look at my record. As Reverend Jackson said, I fought for years to give poor kids health insurance, bring jobs to depressed areas in New York, take care of our men and women in the military and their families, stand up for our country when I was Secretary of State. I love this country, and I believe in service, and I can't stand it when something needs doing or someone isn't being treated fairly. That's probably, Reverend, the Methodist in me. You know, that old John Wesley saying, do all the good you can by all the means you can and all the ways you can for however long you can. I try to live by those words, and those will be words I will try to lead by in the White House next year. So, my friends, I believe with all my heart, when we come together, when we unify ourselves, there is no problem we can't solve, no divide we can't heal, and the future will be better than the past. We really are stronger together. The women you honor today demonstrate that every single way they can. So let's keep fighting. Let's produce the kind of future that our children and our grandchildren deserve. Thank you all, and God bless you.